looked at various aspects of governance, especially what is meant by governance, the levels of governance, and other aspects of governance. But there are certain things that are common or that are inherent in governance that I want us to pay our attention to, so that when you talk about governance, they should come into mind. These issues are so pertinent to governance that you cannot talk about system of governance without looking at them. So I want us to focus now on the elements of governance systems. One of the elements of governance systems is that governance is about the people. And we want to recognize that whether we are talking governance of the present time or governance of ancient time, its very physical existence depends on people, because governance is about people. It is people who come up with instruments of governance, and it is people who are governed by those instruments. It is people who suffer when system of governance is not good. It's also people who enjoy when systems of governance are working. So people are central to any form of governance. People, or for that matter population, in any governance system may be categorized, or is categorized into two. These are citizens and non-citizens. Citizens are members of a governance system that enjoy certain rights which non-citizens do not enjoy. Sometimes we use the word foreigners to refer to non-citizens simply because they are not naturally members of that system of governance. They are citizens of another country. And therefore, citizens enjoy certain rights, especially political and social rights, that non-citizens do not enjoy. For instance, citizens enjoy the right to vote and the right to participate in political competitions. Such rights are not enjoyed by non-citizens. And population in any system of governance may also be grouped into governing and the governed. That is, there are people who are in charge of governance and there are people who are subjects of that governance, right? And non-citizens have said they refer to a group of people from foreign states, and they have come for education, for job, for leisure, among other activities. The system of governance is therefore shaped by the quality of population, which is measured in terms of the skills they have, the economic status, as well as political socialization, such that a fairly enlightened population, a fairly economically stable population, and a population that is properly socialized make greater contribution to the system of governance compared to their counterparts that are not enlightened or are lowly educated, are poor, and also poorly politically socialized. So that whether you have a system of governance that is progressive or not depends largely on the quality of the people that constitute that governance systems. So people are central to any governance system. The moment we don't have people, there's no governance, because governance began with people and governance ends with people. If governors are good, it is people who enjoy. If governors are bad, it is the people who suffer. It's also the people who change governance. They're also the ones that make the rules of governance. So people are central to any form of governance system. The other important aspect or element in the governance system is the issue of territory. In other words, governance is territorial in nature. That is, a system of governance is exercisable only within a given geographical area, which its jurisdiction is subject to. For example, if we take Kenya as a system of governance, then the system of governance that has been established within Kenya or in Kenya is only exercisable within the territory of Kenya. If we move out of Kenya and into another country, then again, we are subjected to a system of governance of that particular country. So every system of governance has exercise whose limitations are confined to a given territorial geography. So there is the element of territorial jurisdiction of any system of governance, and it covers land, air, and water. So scholar by the name Rousseau was of the view that any system of governance should be exercised within a small specified area because it is easy to control and enforce a system of governance. I think Rousseau was responding to the debate whether the size of the geography, the size of the territory matters as far as system of governance is concerned. And according to him, he favors a system in which the territory under which a given governance is exercisable is fairly small, and therefore it is easier to administer and enforce any system of governance that is developed by the people who occupy that particular territory. While those who are in favor of large areas argue that system must be strong defense and economy and endowed with resources. In other words, if you want a system that can work and can be exercised within a larger geographical area, then that system must have a strong military that is capable of imposing its will in the entire territory. It must have a strong economy because you need resources to enforce and also provide services. That system must also be endowed with natural resources because resources are converted into monetary terms, and those monetary terms are then used for the provision of goods and services that are vital for the sustenance and livelihood of the people that occupy that territory and those that are subject to a given system of governance. Again, there is the issue of sovereignty. By sovereignty, we mean the authority of a governance system over its citizens, resources, and organization, and it's also free from any type of external pressure. This is important because when we have a territorial area within which a given system of governance is to operate, then the system of governance must have sovereignty over that area. That is, it must have authority over the people, it must have authority over the resources, and it must have authority over organizations that exist within that particular territory. So governance is specific to a given territory. When you move to a different territory, what that requires is that individuals are therefore subjected to the governance systems of the new territory. So that what governance systems that work in Kenya may not work in other countries such as Somalia, such as Uganda, such as Tanzania, among others. So territory is quite key. The way we behave in Kenya, the political culture that we have in Kenya, the level of freedom that we enjoy in Kenya might not necessarily be available to a Kenyan who goes to a foreign territory, because within that foreign territory, the regulations that apply there differ significantly from those that apply in Kenya. Another important element that also we find with all systems of governance is the enforcement mechanism. By enforcement, we refer to the ability of a system of governance to exercise authority over its citizens, resources, and organization. You must have a system, a governance system that you are able to enforce. Otherwise, if it is not possible to enforce it, then there is no need to have it in the first place. So enforcement is important. The mechanism to do so is also important. In most governance systems, we have constitutions that are enacted by a government system to regulate human conduct and to guide the affairs of the leaders as well as the affairs of other ordinary citizens. We also have laws, we have policies, and we have other regulations that the governance system use to control the behavior of citizens, and people who fail to conform the system of governance often are subjected to some form of punishment. Other than the constitution or regulation that are in place, governance systems also establish institutions to help it in the enforcement of the system that has adopted. For instance, we have the police, we have the military, and we have courts of law that help in the enforcement of laws and regulations that have been acted by the system of governance. And in this case, what we mean is that police will arrest individuals that go against the system of governance. The military will also protect the system of governance from external interference. The courts will met punishments on individuals that go against the regulations governing a given system of governance. So institutions are created to do so. But also, a system of governance also establishes linkages with other territories or with other jurisdictions. This is done so that a system of governance is able to enforce laws and regulations that go beyond its borders. The element of cooperation in terms of addressing issues that require transnational or transboundary corporations, systems of governance normally come together to help in their enforcement. The other important element that also pervades all systems of governance, regardless of time, regardless of the geographical location, is also the issue of hierarchy. And hierarchy in governance implies that governance norms are ranked in order of authority and legitimacy. Because of this, we have governance systems at the global level, at the regional level, at the national level, also at the local level. So that the highest hierarchy in terms of system of governance are the global, followed by regional, followed by national, and then organizational, communal, and now at family level. All those are systems of governance. So systems of governance are hierarchical. Systems of governance that are at the lower level are less superior compared to the ones that are at the upper level. So the higher the level of system of governance, the more superior that governance system is. So that at the global stage, for instance, we have governance structures that make decisions that guide the global community. Things such as how to deal with climate change, how to deal with international crimes. These are governance structures that are provided for at the global level. Then you have regional level, especially within our context, Africa, we have the national level, and then we have the lower level, the organization, the community, and family level. So any decision of a lower system of governance that is in contravention or contradicts those of the higher level, then that decision is declared null and void, because higher level system of governance are often superior to the lower one. On that level, therefore, the nature of hierarchy is clearly stated, and it guides individuals in terms of the kind of decisions that system of governance make. For instance, anyone who is aggrieved by the system of governance at a lower level can appeal to higher level system of governance. And if a higher level system of governance finds that the decision that was made by a lower level government was not accurate or was not proper, it can declare it null and void. And in that case, therefore, the person who is aggrieved shall have had redress in terms of having the issues that he contested addressed. That way, therefore, higher level system of governance can invalidate the decisions of lower level systems of governance. Another important aspect that we also find with system of governance is the aspect of multiple actors. We have noted throughout our discussion that actors in governance are numerous, and because of that multiplicity, there is need for collaborations between institutions, between individuals at all levels, global, regional, national, and local levels. This is to help in the enforcement, in the making and the enforcement of a given system of governance. For instance, when we look at those who make regulations that govern system of governance are different from those who implement them, but they're also different from those who punish individuals who disobey the regulations. Therefore, while making systems of governance, while making governance instruments that govern individuals, it is important to understand the multiplicity of actors so that each actor is given time to understand what their role is. For instance, if we look at actors at the global level, much of their work is to provide frameworks and protocols, and then they also set guidelines on governance standards. So that's why people say that the Rome Protocol, the Sendai Protocol, it is because these are protocols or standards that have been discussed and agreed at global level, and therefore they are used as guidelines by regional actors, by national actors, private actors going down. Then now we have the regional actors. They also provide broad frameworks and protocols, and they also set milestones for member states or organizations. For instance, if you come within the African Union, they are likely to be guided by the provisions of the UN because UN is superior to it. And therefore, UN, the standard that it sets out, the milestone that it sets out to achieve must be in conformity with those that have been set at the global level. Then you have now the national actors. Their work is to domesticate or customize global and regional guidelines into their constitutions, their statutes, and also regulations, so that they can now implement them and help global and regional institutions in terms of achieving the milestones that they had set out to achieve. Remember, global bodies' work is to set guidelines. Implementation of these guidelines is left to the lower levels of governance, such as national as well as organizational and communal governance. They are the ones that now deal with the implementation. But the implementation is guided by the standards and guidelines that have been offered by the global as well as regional actors. So there are multiple actors in governance, each with a specific role, but they work in a complementary manner, not in competition, because the entire goal is to achieve a better outcomes that advances the well-being of humanity. Another important element of system of governance is the aspect of dynamism. Dynamism simply refers the ability of governance system to adapt or respond to emerging challenges and standards. We need to understand that governance is in place to help humanity advance or to help in addressing problems afflicting humanity. Now, these problems might not be the same all the time. They might change. Some problems could be solved. Some problems might mutate into other things, thereby rendering existing system of governance inadequate to address them. In that case, therefore, it is important for system of governance to change to accommodate emerging issues, reset, and make things work better. Because at the end of the day, what is important is a better understanding of how humanities, the welfare of people, can be advanced. So the aspect of dynamism is important. For instance, in Kenya, we changed our constitution in 2010. That constitution has served the country since independence in 1963, but along the way, it was realized that there are certain emerging issues that were rendering that constitution inadequate in terms of addressing the current challenges facing humanity. So the debate was, we need to change the constitution because it's an instrument of governance. We have also changed several laws. Other new ones have come that either have replaced the old ones or have significantly modified what was in existence. So that way, we are able now to adapt our system of governance to emerging challenges and standards. The last aspect of governance or element of governance that we want to look at is what we call universalism. This is to mean that governance processes are found all over the world. Every society, every region, every country, every group has a semblance of a system of governance. Some have advanced systems, others still have fairly traditional systems, but all the same, they are system of governance. There is nowhere in the world, there is no society, there is no community, there are no families, there are no groups of human beings that can exist without systems of governance. So systems of governance, they exist in all societies, in all humanities, in all institutions, because at each time, human behavior needs to be directed or regulated, without which there will be disorder, there will be anarchy, there will be chaos, and in the process, humanity's main goal of leading a dignified life will be jeopardized. So we have system governance that are universal. So bodies such as the United Nations come up with principles that encourages individuals to observe certain things. And these principles, they are found universally. For instance, it is emphasized at all levels that we need to be accountable, we need to be transparent, we need to abide by the rule of law, and we need to observe equity. These are universal principles that govern humanity. Again, principles such as participation, responsibility, inclusivity, effectiveness, and efficiency are also advocated at all levels of governance, meaning in every system of governance, regardless of the group, regardless of geographical location, there is emphasis on participation, the need to involve people. How people are involved and the level of the involvement might differ. But the fact that they're involved, that they need to be involved, is a universal call that is made to all humanities, to all governance instruments and structures to ensure that it's adhered to. The principle of responsibility, taking charge of an issue and ensuring that it is done properly, and where failures are noted, taking responsibility or accepting the failure. Inclusivity, the need to bring everybody on board. Effectiveness, the need to achieve what has been said. Efficiency, the need to utilize resources that are put available so that we do not waste resources in undertaking certain activities that are designed to advance humanity. Efficiency recognizes that resources are always limited, and therefore the limited resources that are available must, as a matter of necessity, be used properly to ensure that wastage, pilferage, or any other form of wastage is completely discouraged. We stop there, take note of an issue, and raise it at appropriate time. We shall look at it. Thank you so much for your time.